Hello, everybody. Please come in. I see that people are coming in as we are talking. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending upon where you are. I will start a chat here. I'll say, here is the chat. Here. And addressing to everyone, I will say, hello, everyone. Hello from Houston. Okay, that's a beginning because you can answer and say, where are you from? Like Vallejo, California, or other things. You see that. That is number one. Number two, I'll share the screen here. And I will give you the one and only link that you need right here. It's chat about advances in AI. And I'm giving you that link. I'm giving you that on the chat here. And you can click on it, or you can, okay, everyone, spell it. And that's why it's a bit.ly link. So we got that part. If you open that, you see that. And for those who are not familiar with the format, we talk about everything that's new from the point of view of AI applications. I think that is the approach that has been stable. So we're thinking about, we are not building those models, even though I'll stop share. Let me restore that. Even though we often talk about the models that other people provide, and here we are going to talk about this, but we talk about that with the major goal. I want to build something in it. I want to try. I want to do something hands-on. So that is what we're going to talk about today. You see that. I'm not reading. You can see that. And if you go down, you'll see that's what we spoke about before. So my own personal view on that. Let us start. I will say on our chat, one more second. I will say that you can always you can request mic, and if you want to say something, you can do it, but if not, we will be chatting. I think that works very well. So what I want to talk about, and I really do want your opinion on every one damn thing here, is the DeepSeek. That will be the first thing, because to me, it came only this week. For some other people, they were already following that. So I see three different points of view about DeepSeek. So point of view number one is what you get as the first piece of news is that here is a model that only cost 5 billion to train, 5 million to train, and not 5 billion. So that is a revolution. That means we don't need NVIDIA anymore. NVIDIA goes down. I do not know much about stock, but those who do say that the company that's behind DeepSeek shorted NVIDIA in a big way. The one point of view is that Chinese themselves, they are quite happy having done that. And then everyone else who is happy about smart things being done is happy. You cannot deny that, even if you have a different bias. And I'll talk now about biases. So another bias is, of course, ChatGPT itself, ChatGPT and Microsoft, who are very closely connected. And they say that we are investigating, is that violating the terms of use or no? Why? Why is this question? Because the way I understand it is that DeepSeek is behaving as a student with a great teacher. Who is the great teacher? That's ChatGPT. ChatGPT is the great teacher that directs you what you should learn. So you are just a student, humble student, who wants to know, who wants to replicate what the teacher has done. And therefore, he asked the teacher, well, how should I do things? Well, that's a big saving. That's what they use, and they are not copying the results. There was a little period of time when Microsoft was fighting Google on the search market. And at this time, Google search was so much better that Microsoft had a little plugin that would go out and in response to the search in their browser, they would ask Google and deliver these results. That was not for a long time. But that's kind of probably prohibited by terms of use here too. So Microsoft and ChatGPT are investigating. I have not heard of a lawsuit as yet, but even a lawsuit wouldn't help because, well, go ahead and sue those hackers in China. So that's a second point of view. Because every point of view, it's interesting to see how a little prejudice, a little bias always acts on a person. So even if you say that you are delivering a very correct judgment, but still taking bribe makes your eyes not see well. That's the second point of view, that they're simply stealing. And the third point of view is that of Andrew Ng. Andrew Ng is just saying, well, that's a new entry in the AI, and bless BI. That's his point of view. Besides, he is very much into application development. And so, of course, he says, guys, whatever is going on between the big boys, you are the winners, because if you do application development, okay, you have one more choice on where to build. So I'm not going deeper into that. I have installed it on my phone, but one test doesn't mean anything. So we'll wait. With that, we will wait for the other people to chime in. The summary is that we have one more provider of AI. If you are building on any kind of AI, you have one more model, one more choice. Besides, of course, as you will know, DeepSeek, competitor to ChatGPT, open sources their model, so you can run it locally potentially, right? You can even have more full control. Now, I see Alan says, if you want to check out DeepSeek R10, I've used it on a 8-bit. Wow, that's a very small computer, right? In 8-bit, that's amazing, Alan. You used it? Do you have any links to that, or just you're telling us you used it and it worked? So it's a microchip for AI, right? Okay, great. So add your comments, please. Now, the next thing I want to talk a bit more about computer use for Anthropic, but today I want to put it more into the perspective. Computer use is a component from Anthropic. We can click here and get the course, but I'm really much more interested in showing that to you. And that's what I'm going to do. Okay, I look at that, Alan. Thank you. Compute use, we already looked at. It's you tell it you're smart enough. You can read my screen. You can understand what I'm getting. You can also know what to do. So I'm giving you a very generic direction. And using my computer, dear assistant called compute use from Anthropic, just do whatever I'm asking, like plan my trip, do my work. From sunny Austin. Hello. Okay. So last time we looked at it, but now I want to do this. I want to show that it's almost ready, almost running locally. So here you are. If you want to do it, you need to go take my repository, and I'm giving you that link right here. It's all under OpenAI Labs. This is lab number 61 right here. So if you want to play with the local one, which is almost done, not quite, but almost, you can start and play with it even now. You will see all the supporting files. You will also see instructions on how to run the very first time and how to run the next time. Okay, so if you go how to run the first time, that's very precise, except for one thing, the key. So the key, you will have to do it yourself, and I still have not done it. I keep apologizing because I'm a perfectionist who wants everything to work, but at least that much I have already done. So I'm going to the second step. What do you do next? Well, what you do next is just source this particular environment. So you open your terminal, you go into that place, you source that environment like this, all right? It should tell you, I activated that particular environment, and after that, all you do is say Jupyter Lab, okay? So you say Jupyter Lab, and it should open. Okay, so it opens and you can run any one of those labs. I will start just to prove the point that it's almost ready to run. It's missing a key though, okay? And so you import the packages. The packages import okay because right here, there was an instruction how to run it, right here. And in that instruction, you would have installed the requirements right here. Because of that, that's why it works. All right, so you start that, you then go to the labs, you take the load, that is a standard way of loading your keys in a secret way. Then you start client, then you tell what to run. But what am I doing? Okay, I'm running an overall bunch of labs. So lab number 7, not present here. Lab number 7 is now it works. That lab number 7 is so complex that there is no notebook for that. So there are previous notebooks for that. By the way, let's crash it. Let's go all the way to ask a question. And here we asked the question, but we did not provide the key. It should tell us you did not provide the key. That's why. Next time, by the way, it will work. Now, all these others are preparation to that. We see that we need to do that with the complicated requests and complicated streaming. Why is that? That is because what we're doing is really complex. It's multi-level architecture, and it's not easy. Now, by contrast, let me go back to the general picture. So I said we are looking at compute use from Anthropic to completely automate the smart brains of your computer. When Microsoft announced that we have an AI-enabled computer, what was missing is that kind of thing, right? To make it completely smart. So that's a competitor. So it's much more complex than any simple statement will do. But for comparison, let me show you what it was before a compute use came up. So it was Selenium. Let's go to Selenium. Selenium is a well-known component. It is a simple, well, not simple, but easily available component. It's open source, and many people automate in the browser what they want to automate. The problem is that if you tell it, do what I do, and there is a recorder there, what it does is exactly does what you do. Like you want to say, oh, download Chrome. So first of all, you need to know where to click. There is no AI as yet. Then that button will change its position. Okay, if you go here, and that button is not the same place where it was, so you'll miss. So, okay, you need to program it a bit more complex. You need to find that button. You need to probably open the source. Okay, find that button and find it by ID. Hope that it's provided for you. Hope that there is not a next release where that name will change. And that's how you program it. That's what it was with Selenium. You could use Selenium by just telling record my actions, and then it will be very fragile. Or you can analyze it more and tell it find those buttons by ID. That is what it used to be, closing that. Based on that, some people built something that they called RPA, or robotic process automation. That is just a marketing name, which automates Selenium. But they have built probably million or billion companies based on that, which is essentially Selenium with some additional tools. You can look for that. That's what it used to be. So it was very tedious, detailed programming that was always fragile. Well, that's the usual case. I'll come back on my experience, what I'm doing. And here, compute use says, oh, I understand it all. I read the screen. You don't have to find where that button is. You just tell me which button you want. Then it says, I can find it myself. You just tell me what to do. In other words, that is a revolution. And for that revolution, you need to go through all these layers. So I just opened that lab. It was here. So the first thing, just you need to talk to that AI. That's a must. Then there are more complex interactions because you want to see the screen. The model sees the screen, and you also want to act on that screen. So you do a multi-modal request. Then you change your prompts. Prompts are really magic. There was some talk about prompt engineers getting $300,000 a year. That is a joke, but prompts are extremely important, and I'll come back to that. In this case, your prompts are very complex. Look at that. You're saying you will have to analyze the following customer service. Then you give a lot of details, how much work goes into that. Then there are good practices. For example, don't try to describe it in a general way. Rather, give me examples. That's wonderful, right? So I'm giving you basically what you need to know, but the rest you will figure out from examples, and so on, and so on. And you see how long that prompt is. That's goal. That's what it took them to develop. And now that you're talking to your computer and are very precise in details, you go to the next lab and prompt caching. That's one additional optimization, because now we're going to transfer multiple levels of information. Finally, in lesson 6, you ask it to use specific tools. Which tools? You can see them here. There will be specific tools that your computer is connected to. It could be a CRM, it could be a database. So that just describes how that is. In that case, they chose to create as if a database, maybe put it into a little in-memory database here. They call it fake database. I think it's not even in memory, but these are the tools. So we appreciate the level of complexity of programming that, but the end result is it works wonders. So if you ever want to see the demo, it's amazing how it essentially imitates human who has enough understanding. All right, so that's the second level. I didn't go that far last time. This time it was more with comparisons, and next time I hope I will have it working, because it's really useful to have it in your toolbox. That is what Andrew Ng says. If you look in his last letter, he mentions that immediately after compute use from Anthropic, there was operator from OpenAI, which is essentially the same thing, but in a competing environment. So let's go there. That's what the operator can do. And that's early, that's research preview. At least it was research preview in January 23. Okay, but what it does is the same thing. You can tell it, find and book me the highest rated one-day tour of Rome on TripAdvisor. That's all you say, right? That's very generic. From there, it understands completely what you mean. It is AI, after all, and it acts and does it on your computer. All right, so why is that important? Because as Andrew Ng finishes, well, guys, if you're application builders, you need to have that in your toolbox. That's another tool that is obviously unique, doesn't work like others. Andrew recently proposed that we're looking at education nonstop. We're building education into our lives. There is no other way. And that agrees with what he said. So I'll tell you a couple points on that as well. And we covered all these. I also wanted to look at citations from Anthropic. So Anthropic is going really strong in all directions, and that's not surprising in the sense that AI is the new electricity. If so, then we're putting electricity in absolutely every aspect of human behavior. What is that citation? Well, that's more specific. It's kind of an application that you could build, but they have already built it. So they have built it, and essentially they solving a very simple problem: how to avoid hallucinations, and that is by checking the references. That's all, and how to have exactly the right references. That's why it's called citations. So it wouldn't be any big thing unless there wouldn't be this at the bottom. Who is our customer? The first customer, the first use case. Is Thomson Reuters. So attorneys, they have their own story, long story with AI. And a certain lawyer, he has asked AI to compose a good document, which he submitted to the judge. The problem there was that a lawyer was very inexperienced in AI. He didn't know to check the references. Well, let's not say anything bad about lawyers, but let's say that Thomson Reuters decided to fix that problem, not with the people, but on the AI level, we should be able to check the references and not tell them, "Hi guys, you didn't check your references, so too bad for you." And they sanction the lawyer. So they call it co-counsel, and that is probably the most demanding audience. Now that you have that client, then you can talk about that citation is really important. Well, citations is built into ChatGPT, and it is built into this canvas, right? We can look at that. So if we go to ChatGPT, make sure we're in the right account, and open, well, even not open canvas, write a research essay about DeepSeek. Are they stealing secrets from Microsoft? Now, what's important is not what I write, but the fact that once I say write a research essay, it will switch its display to Canvas. Enter. Hasn't switched as yet. It's programmed to know, but what I wanted to show is Canvas or no Canvas. I can switch to Canvas later. It does give me the sources already. So that what Anthropic did, and that's what Thomson Reuters used, is already built into ChatGPT. So let's open. Here is the source, okay, and more sources directly opening in another tab, okay, and so on. What I want to say is what Sam Altman said. He said, in the beginning, everybody was betting against AI. They were thinking that AI has flaws, and all we need to do is fix these flaws, and that's start a startup. But now he says 95% of the people, they bet with AI. They think that AI will improve, and they don't have to solve these problems. Let them stay in the hands of the developers of these models. But instead here, you build some applications. Okay, That is what I wanted to show. So when we're talking about advances in AI, we said there will be a component for every generic problem that there is. And I was also mentioning that this takes everything to the new level. The prompts becomes more complex, but the level of intelligence increases. So now I want to show you a different lab, the one that I'm using my personal work, and there I want to, will show it in GitHub. That's easier. But in there, I'll show you that the prompts are the essential meat of it. Moving that window, going to another place where I'm building AI applications. That is under Skya. And one of those applications are called RAP. Okay, and RAP is a secure document from FBI. So FBI sends a request to all police departments all over the United States. What comes back is pretty loosely formatted document, and you need to extract information from that. So the documents themselves are controlled, but the software is not. So if you want to process it, and here is the notebook that processes that document, then you need to construct a very complicated prompt on how you want to process these documents. That is the prompt. That's an example of what I was saying. Prompts are gold. That is the essentially where you build stuff. You build it out of your knowledge, your understanding of the task, that you then explain to the computer, and you do the architecture. You are the conductor. You lead that symphony. Different agents potentially, or that one, Azure OpenAI, it acts on your prompts. Let's look at the prompts as an example, so that we're not just blah blah, but we are showing the real stuff. So first of all, we are going to tell it that it happens so that those rep forms have sometimes 4 stars, sometimes 4 stars with a space, sometimes this, you see? That is how you explain it, how usually that document is formatted. After you do that, however, it becomes magical. Then we're talking about different arrests, as I told you. That is the rep form. That's what it does, tracks the arrests for a person. And we're telling it what you need to extract. Then, if you have duplicate entries, that is meaning that you get the same arrest twice, that's what you do with them. Now, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. By now, it is 18 different prompts. And that 18 different prompts processed 680 documents for us. It took 10 hours. And just because there are limitations on how much documentation we can send per minute. And previously, it was done with regex, regular expressions. And if you ever touched regular expressions, you know they're fun, but extreme amount of minute detail, or else they are fragile. And even if you give it lots of details, they're still very fragile because they're completely brain dead. Now we have something that's completely brain enabled. That's how we do things. And that, I think, is one of the use cases that you need a specific document processed. So the new life, it's not robotic product automation anymore. It's not Selenium. It is AI. And the supply of this AI, as we were talking in the beginning, is non-stoppable. Right here, DeepSeek is another supplier. Anthropic is another supplier. OpenAI is another. And I think it's a few dozen major supplies. That's where you get your internet, kind of. That's where you get your electricity. So, one more announcement that may seem like it's a reaction to DeepSeek. It is ChatGPT for the government. Now, let's look at that. That seems like, so what? Everybody has clouds for the government. Well, but it so happens that the government has lots of regulations. It's a huge bureaucracy, isn't it? And it was missing. The ChatGPT for the government was not the same as for open use. And that was limiting, for example, my personal processing of some documents. Well, not anymore, because on January 29, pretty much the next day after DeepSeek, there comes ChatGPT for the government, which seems to be not connected, but it is. So if the government tries to use, of course, it's a Chinese source, but anyway, it's very good for ChatGPT to put a lock, and all these regulations will mandate Microsoft and ChatGPT for the government. And that's not an attempt to monopolize it. It's just that the government wants it this way. So that is the next. No special new technology. Is the same as ChatGPT overall, but now you can use it for any kind of implementations. All right, great. So I told you all exciting things that I have to tell you, and I'll share one thing that's going on with me. So it is as if some faucets in heaven opened. I mean, I get an enormous amount of requests on security of AI of security, on AI for the management, and just AI for everybody. So me personally, I'm happy to work on all of that. It's extremely hard work. AI and security is easier. Everything is easier. What is very hard for me is AI for executives, because over there you deal with people who don't want to code, and please don't scare me with code. And I don't want to understand anything too deeply. And I'm completely not used to that, right? But I respect them. They hold the money and they hold the purse to the purse. I mean, string to the purse, right? So this morning I had a meeting and we discussed exactly what should be the AI. So of course you deal with the limited controlled environment, and I cannot even access their source of AI, but I will work with them. So let me at least show you something that may be of interest. It's right here. It's AI and applications. It's a generic course for executives in a sales of a healthcare company. No proprietary secrets here, but that is what we will cover. So I'll show them the generic, no, that's the one. The generic AI and what it can do, and show you how you can use it. Bridging the gap between developers who implement me naturally talking to the database and the executives who really have meaningful questions to the database. So that's course number one. Course number two is more specific. Let's look into very specific use cases. Let's see, can we improve customer engagement? They have a very specific version, which is controlled, locked, and is implemented, so that I had to do this. I had to say, guys, you have access to your AI window, which is controlled. I don't have even access to that. Ask it these questions. Who are you? They did. They asked who are you? You said, I'm Gemini. Okay, so you're Google. I know that. Now ask it, how do you implement sales assistance and strategy suggestion? And it does it. Well, that is the practical level. So over there, we were just talking about AI. But now, when we're talking about AI applications, we get into the weeds and all kinds of complicated issues, but that's why it's really useful. So you have to do it. And the fact that you are doing something that breaks and that is a source of frustration for you is a sign that you are working on something very real. All right, now I showed everything that I wanted to show. I'll do this. I will open the questions. I will stop sharing for a second. Okay. And with that, questions. And I will even stop my mic. But that gives you a chance to ask questions. If you have no questions right now to formulate, I'll give you the major links. Share back. Share back. So what you need is this. Sharing it with everybody. That's the link to what we do. Okay. Now, the next link that you might need is this one down below. It's called Learning Path. In this link, and I'm giving that link to you here. In this link, and I will open that same link after I gave it, you see a complete AI education spreadsheet. So to learn about AI, just to start somewhere at the top and just learn whatever you like. The next step is learning all about 80. Some of them have numbers, but it's about 80 of them. That is a lot of things, and they don't overlap. That means each is worth its own study. So we're talking about study here. That's the next link. The next link. The next link will come from you when you ask a questions or when you email me this question. That's my email. So sometimes you see Elephant Scale, that educational company. Sometimes you see Sky, that's implementation company. They're very closely related. And you can write to any one of them. And that is what I am working on. That's what I'm bringing as my personal view on building applications. So you will be able to ask the question if they come up in your mind later. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. You are the great stimulus. You are the prompt. You're pushing me into either learning about what you say and looking at all these links that you provide, or preparing, because the statistics is there are 2 new developments, at least if you count DeepSeek like a huge major development, then maybe 3. Okay. Okay, Al asks, is DeepSeek built on top of Llama? The answer is no. DeepSeek is a different approach. It's a new model, and oh, I promised to tell you much more about what's inside. It's right here. I'm clicking on that link, and then what I see is the major paper. So if you want to just know in general, if you click on YouTube, you will find introductions. I listened to some of them, good introductions. The basic idea is that what it borrows from the world is the knowledge. He uses the world, meaning the world of large models, as a teacher. And then it forms its own strategy based on the advice, expert advice that the teacher gives him. So it's not the same as Llama, because the Llama is, after all, a large model which is trained. DeepSeek builds on top of Llama and Hugging Face had it. If they say so, I would very much like to know. So please give us the link. Right here. Well, I don't right away see where it is built on top of Llama. It's the same idea in the sense that it is also open and the weights are open just as Llama is. But we can simply go to ChatGPT and ask, is the thing built on top of? And I wonder what will it say. So it has developed models which are built on top of that, but the major one benefited from the open source from Llama, but really doesn't build on top of Llama. Rather, they are building on top of the whole world of the knowledge, and some of that part of that world isn't quite unhappy about that. So let's do this. Let's talk more about this. I only gave you a view from 3 different sources, yes, no, and in between. But next time we have a deep dive. So let's do that. Let's copy that. And say that next time it will be a different date. Okay. And deep dive into DeepSeek. That's what we will definitely do. Here, I'm going to also deep dive into this, and I will hope to run it on my computer, run it locally. The rest we more or less covered for now. We don't need them, but that would be the plan based on what you guys are saying. I'm going back to our chat. It's interesting. Let's read it. So Dula says, do you think we should run DeepSeek offline for security reasons? What is the best way to take it offline? And Alan already answered. I run this highly compressed distilled 32 billion version of Olama, and I only has this like probably modest hardware, and it does work. So the answer, the way I understand it, is that it doesn't have to be only DeepSeek. You can use Llama, and that's already well developed. And especially if you're using your Llama, you can change different models. So the answer is, if you really want to run something for security, you can use Llama already. Now, DeepSeek would I think require additional tricks to make it run locally, even though it is available. But Olama is there for a year or two, already worked out and everything ironed out. So it's really easy to run Olama if you are into security. But yes, theoretically, any model that you can download. Well, not only that, you can use models even within Amazon. You can use model, but you can say run it on my local VM and don't connect it anywhere else. So you can build it quite securely even with other models. There are many, many choices, and that's very typical for many, many choices when you build an application. All right, thank you. Thank you for wonderful questions. And here we have a plan for the next time. So let me wish you a great weekend and a great year and all the best.